Bear down, Chicago Bears. We've got some reports from Ian Rappaport, and it's not good for Justin Fields. We've got further Justin Fields trade rumors, but they're really just a rehash of the previous rumors that we've been hearing before, that we've been seeing it could be playing out. Then we've got another report coming out. Caleb Williams and his medical condition, or is there a medical condition? And whether he's willing to share his records. Then there's a lot of conversation right now about how to pair Marvin Harrison Jr. and Caleb Williams together. We've got some defensive line and linebacker drills and some reports from that. Dallas Turner wowed everybody. Then we did a mock draft in which I took Caleb Williams with the first overall pick. It felt dirty. I got to be honest with you. It felt dirty, not because I don't like Caleb Williams, but because then I only had 6 picks, and then I felt obligated at that 9 pick to make sure that he had enough help. And then it just snowballs from there. I don't like the draft position of number one, to be fair, or at least I don't like the fact that we're kind of pigeonholed into picking a quarterback because it's a difficult situation with Justin Fields. So let me know what you think, by the way, in the comments. If you're a Justin Fields fan, let me know. If you're a Caleb fan, let me know as well. And let's break it down.
I can't wait till Friday. Everybody's getting sideways. Pass the bottle back my way. Everybody's getting sideways.
So the reports were everywhere that Ian Rappaport had reported that the Chicago Bears would need a historic haul to move off of the number one pick. Well, we have reporting last night from Ian Rappaport that says that no team is willing to trade the historic haul to the Bears for the number one pick. The combine in Indianapolis, he reported it's unlikely a team is willing to give into the Bears' demands. I've not talked to any team, one, willing to make that happen, or two, that believe they can. It sure seems the Bears are heading in the direction of taking Caleb Williams at number one. Now, here's the other thing. Are they going to tip their hats and let people know? It's probably not likely. So when Ian Rappaport comes out here, and by the way, Ian Rappaport, as he's reporting, is trying to give his opinion. Look, I couldn't find anybody who's willing to talk about it. So does it mean anything? No, it doesn't. However, the narrative now, the benefit of some of this for the narrative of everything, that narrative changes with people like I want to say, look, a guy who's been a Justin Maxey, Clay Harbor. Clay Harbor is now talking about Caleb Williams. There's other players and people that are involved in the Chicago zone, if you will, and they're now talking about Caleb Williams more than they were talking about before. Now it's become chic and in vogue to start talking about Caleb Williams a little bit more positive. So that's what you're starting to see happening, and it's because of this report. Now, here's the other thing. Last season, and what I want to stress here is what ended up happening from the Chicago Bears last year. They moved off that pick. They got the number 9 pick instead of the number 1 pick, right? They got this first round pick, and they've got a second round pick for next year. Then they got DJ Moore, and then with the picks that they had, they got Darnell Wright and Tyreek Stevenson, and then Terrell Smith came in that draft as well. But this is the most people would say you don't move twice from a quarterback, and that would be fair enough. If you're not into Justin Fields and you don't think Justin Fields is your guy, it's fair enough that you have that opinion. But would you give up a trade that would give you potentially a DJ Moore or some of the potential picks that would be available? And you'd be missing Darnell Wright, you'd be missing Tyreek Stevenson. Are you able to replace those players, those quality? We found out that these are quality players, and it just seems to me. And by the way, again, nothing against Caleb. If Caleb was available at the 9 pick, you know what I mean? If I were to trade down to the number 2 or number 3, and I think you guys have seen me do this before. If for any reason Joe Alt goes number one and Jaden Daniels goes number two or something like that, you move down to the three. Well, you kind of have to take Caleb Williams. I think we did that in one of our drafts because you kind of have to, because the point isn't to not take Caleb Williams. The point is to get value for that pick and maximize the value of that pick. So, that's the way I think about it, and that's my opinion. And by the way, again, I do want to make the playoffs next year, and I think the best option to make the playoffs is Justin Fields. So, and I make no bones about that. I think that is the way that we should go. So the question is, will somebody step up and do they want that pick? Now, the thing about it is, I don't think that Ian Rappaport is right about it. I think the Commanders are going to keep it tight to their vest. The Bears would keep it tight to their vest. We're going to know as soon as we see a trade for Justin Fields. We will know. It won't take that long. We'll see if this happens, but players get to talk to teams on March 11th. Free agency opens on March 13th. So within 2 weeks, we're going to know exactly what's going to happen. Okay. And that's the best that you can do at that point. Now, Turbo brings up a good question here. Bears should roll with Daniels because now there's discussion about Jaden Daniels based on one person on ESPN saying, and Dan Orlovsky is the guy that says, I would roll with going to get Jaden Daniels. So if you trade off of that one pick, that guy's still available, I would think. Again, that comes down to, what what is the issue here? And the issue is more draft picks. If I can get a good haul for it and I can move down and still get my guy. And if my guy is Jaden Daniels, fine. I mean, the point is, I do want the best player available, but I want draft picks. I want I want draft picks. That's that to me is how you build a team and how you build a franchise. And also, I want to win now. I don't want to wait for Caleb Williams to kind of get it together. By the way, it should be noted that the thinking is he's not going to have to get it together. He's already ready. He's got what it takes. So, fair enough. Disagree. Think that Justin Fields gives us the best option, but that doesn't mean that that's the case. So now we got to move on and we got to talk about Justin Fields because now we've got Justin Fields trade rumors everywhere. And there's 3 NFL teams that are specifically interested in Justin Fields. The first one up is the Pittsburgh Steelers. They do have Kenny Pickett. And in January, Mike Tomlin said he's going to bring in some competition. There's always competition. We don't anoint anyone. I'm appreciative of his efforts and where he is and excited about continuing to work with him. But certainly he will be challenged from a competitive standpoint moving forward. Omar Khan was asked at the Combine if the team would trade for Justin Fields. He could have shot down the speculation, but he said, I have an obligation to look at every avenue that's out there to try and make us a better football team. The Steelers also admitted that his team would look at every available option while also saying he has every faith in Kenny Pickett. Well, that's what they're saying about Justin Fields too, but it looks like they might want to move off. So if that's the case, it doesn't really matter what faith you have, right? The Steelers are definitely one of them. Then you have the Raiders. And the Raiders are hot on Justin Fields right now. The Raiders have made it pretty clear this week that their quarterback of the future isn't currently on their roster, which means that Aiden O'Connell and Jimmy Garoppolo won't be around much longer, most probably. They could draft a quarterback, but they have the 13th overall pick. Probably not realistic. However, look, there's, you got Caleb Williams out here. You got Jaden Daniels out here. You got Drake May out here. But you also have J.J. McCarthy. There is a distinct possibility that J.J. McCarthy is available with that 13th overall pick. So the Raiders might have somebody. The Raiders could have somebody on their radar. Now, this, of course, does mean that there is a shot that they're looking for somebody like Justin Fields instead. And if that's the case, let's go. You know what I mean? Let's go and let's see what happens. But the other team, by the way, is the Atlanta Falcons. Now, The point to the Atlanta Falcons was that Justin Fields said that he didn't want to go there just because people would be hitting his phone up for free tickets. But that's not a reason not to go. So even though he was talking about it and he was joking about, nah, I'm not going to do that, then it stands to reason that he really wouldn't mind going home to play. It would be like the prodigal son returning. We all love that story. So the Falcons haven't been hiding the fact that they're going to add a quarterback this offseason. Making a fresh trade for Fields would make a lot of sense, and that's because it would give him a fresh start, and it would also give the team a fresh start at the position. Let's not forget that Fields' manager posted a video this week that seemed to hint at the quarterback ending up with the Falcons. And by the way, I was told that that is a doctored video, that you going home or something like that, had nothing to do, like it was some kind of clip from a show. I don't know if it is or not, and I don't care, because I didn't really put too much credence into it to begin with. I would think that at this point, if that were in the making, that were happening, that we would have heard more about it at this point. There's no way that it didn't get leaked. According to NBC Sports Chicago, the Falcons have already checked in with the Bears about Fields, so they've taken one step beyond just showing some interest. So we could see a move any day now or any moment now, but as of right now, Justin Fields is the quarterback, and I, would like to see it stay that way. I would. My preference to everything would be hold on to Justin Fields one more year, use Caleb Williams or the draft pick to get more draft capital. I really think that there's enough holes in the Chicago Bear uh, uh, defense and offense still that could be filled with some really good and solid second round picks, and you would just be moving down off of that first pick. Down just a couple of spots to the 2 or to the 3 position, something like that would get you into that second round. The New England Patriots, by the way, were my favorite as a trade partner because they would have more interest in trading up for Caleb. But here's the other part to it. Um, the other part to it is they have the number 34 second round pick, and I'm feeling like somebody like a Darius Robinson or something like that would, like there's a need in that position, and I think we're gonna do a mock draft and kind of look at it, and you'll see what I'm talking about. I'll make a trade with if it comes up, I'll make a trade with the Patriots, and you'll see what it looks like. I did my mock draft today. I didn't make any trades, by the way. I just went with everything, and you'll see what my draft looks like. And you might like my draft. Like, I didn't do a horrible job. I think it was actually a pretty good draft as it came down to it. But I missed out. Like, I feel like I missed so much. But let's move on. We've got a new rumor out here that just happened. Caleb Williams is now declining to share his medical records at the combine. Now, at first, you should be nervous. Um, uh, duh, duh, duh. We got, wow, dude, you really trust Justin Fields to run it back one more year. Yeah, here's the thing, Turbo Duran. There are people in um there are people in everywhere who saw the product on the field and knew that the Bears weren't ready. And that's the fault of the coaching staff. Now, there's also a bunch of people who saw that Justin Fields had a 112 quarterback rating and a 91 quarterback rating in the first half of games, and only an 89 and a 53 in the fourth quarter. And some of that has to do with the positions that they're being put in. And that, again, comes down to the coaching. So would I run it back if I could get Justin Fields with a 112 quarterback rating or a 91 quarterback rating, and we could maintain that through the course of a game? Absolutely. He's already demonstrated that he's got the elusiveness to keep a play alive. It's whether he can look downfield and continue to make plays downfield, and if the coaching staff is willing to give him the plays that he's good at and work with him on what it is that he can do to develop more of that. And I don't think that they did that in the last one. So, and you can disagree with me because you're allowed to be wrong. You've been wrong a lot of your life already. So you can do that. But the end of this is I don't think that Caleb Williams represents the upgrade in the position that you do. You see the guy on the field. I see the guy who you see the Justin Fields that had 10 fumbles in 13 games. I see the Caleb Williams who had 8 fumbles in 12 games. You know what I'm saying? Like, you see the guy You see the guy who didn't win against New England or New England against Cleveland, or you see the guy who didn't who got sacked on the first play when they were down because they were up 26-14 on Detroit. You see that guy, and I see the guy who threw 3 interceptions against Notre Dame. Notre Dame's not even a great team; they're just a good team. I see that you see the guy who's 7-10. I see the guy who's 7-5. I mean, Jesus Christ, they both won 7 games. Now, it would be true that they didn't lose as many. So that's not a thing. And yeah, I got your and look, Turbo, I understand your pretend stuff. I don't like this guy and I want somebody else. And that's the way you talk in my brain. I'm gonna continue to stick with that because you sound ridiculous when you're like, you want a guy who can do 200 when there's another guy who can do 300. Yeah, because he also fumbled the ball just as much, because he also turned the ball over just as much. There's no change right here. There's no upgrade. You're kidding yourself and you're pretending in your brain because you don't like Justin Fields. And that's okay. You can not like Justin Fields, but it's not a conversation about Justin Fields or Caleb Williams, at least for me. It's a matter of, does my team get better if I pass on Caleb Williams and I get more draft picks and I'm still able to get Marvin Harrison Jr. to improve the offensive? I'm still able to get at the number 9 pick a Brock Bowers type that can improve my offense. And now I've got 2 legitimate threats in my first 9 picks. And then I've got a second round pick now, which I can use for a solid edge rusher or a center. So that's silly to me that you would. And by the way, here's the other part. And I want to be specific to Turbo Duran because he's the guy out here that's really a fan of moving on from Justin Fields, because I think it's important. Chris Canty yesterday said the dumbest thing I've ever heard, and that was that the Bears had the best scoring defense in the second half of the season, and that the Bears also had a pretty solid offensive line for the second half of the season. Yeah, dummy. And they went 5-3, which means that if you give them the entire year at this level, they're a playoff team. So if you're gonna be a dummy, cool, Chris Canty, be a dummy. That's why you left school early, I assume. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're gonna make a hot take that's stupid, cool, do it. But that's not a reason to take Caleb Williams. You're just telling me that Justin Fields was doing the job. What you're telling me was that Justin Fields was getting it done, and that of the 3 losses, you're talking about Detroit with the defense falling apart at the end of the game and giving up like 20 points in 4 minutes. So to blame Justin Fields for that, that's stupid. Um, for Cleveland, you got to blame him for Cleveland. I mean, I would like to be able to defend it, but you got to blame him for Cleveland. You got to blame him for Green Bay. You know what I mean? Unless you can look at the fact that Justin Fields went 6 for 6 at the beginning of the Green Bay game and finished with only 16 passes. So in the rest of the entire game, he only threw the ball 10 more times. What idiot has their quarterback go 6 for 6 and then stops calling passes? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's stupid. So if you're basing your well, Justin Fields didn't make a win for me when I wanted it. Again, that's how you talk in my head. If that was the basis behind it, then why are there only 10 passes? That's a coaching thing. That's a coaching thing. And I'm not saying, by the way, that to be fair, like Louis Riddick was right yesterday when he said if the Bears moved on from Luke Getsy in a drop back pass system, they're fucking idiots to begin with. Because Luke Getsy would be the kind of guy who would coach a Caleb Williams because he's that prototypical drop back passer that you wanted, which is why he was snapped up immediately by the Los Angeles Raiders. It's just because Justin's not that kind of guy. So now you moved on from the kind of guy who's not going to be able to coach Justin to this new system. So we'll see what happens. I would just say I would prefer the draft capital. And if that happens, then cool. You know what I mean? So anyway, Caleb Williams, Turbo Duran's boyfriend, is crying like a baby. I don't want anybody to see my records. I don't want anybody to see all of the thingies that I got. I don't want anybody to have my x-rays because, they'll see, what size or whatever it is. I don't know. Caleb Williams doesn't want everybody to see his records. What is it that he's got to hide? Now, to be fair, I'm joking around with Turbo Duran at this point, but it doesn't really matter because the point to it is Caleb Williams doesn't want people to see his records, and he has every right, by the way, to do this. The fact that he's not letting people do this just because it's the first time doesn't mean it shouldn't have happened a long time before. Look, if you're a top 5 pick and your consensus that you're going to go in the top picks, everybody doesn't have that top pick option. Everybody doesn't have it. Like, look, let's just deal with the people that have that opportunity to draft me, and you don't have that draft opportunity. You know what I mean? And Mike Crane says you need to stop obsessing over Fields. He has little to do with anything. He is worth taking a flyer out on, especially when we get a ton of extra picks in which we can get a quarterback in the draft next year. That's what I think. It sounds to me like uh, the point to it is I think that it really doesn't matter who the quarterback is. I think we should all at least acknowledge who cares who the quarterback is. I mean, I like Justin Fields. I would like to see Justin Fields run it back one more time because I thought that he had the opportunity for the win. But really, I mean, no. And no, Bagent is not the future. I like Tyson Bagent, by the way, and I think he's going to be a successful NFL backup. It's very tough to say that he's going to be a starter, though. He doesn't process. He processes everything fast, but he doesn't have a strong arm. If he had a stronger arm, yes, and if he could get up to speed on NFL defenses, playing in Division II, that works against you a lot. So I like Tyson Bagent, but there's no chance of that one. I just don't think that and by the way, if we had the number one defense and we had like the number one rushing offense and it was no question, then he could probably manage a team all the way to the Super Bowl. Like I'm not saying, by the way, I think that the Bears are Super Bowl contender at this point. You know what I mean? So I'm not really worried about it. But anyway, so he's refusing to give people his medical exam, but he said he did not sign off on having all 32 teams. So that's the important part. So we can not like him. But here's the thing. He's allowing his records to be shared with the Chicago Bears, the Washington Commanders, the Las Vegas Raiders, the Minnesota Vikings, the Atlanta Falcons, the New England Patriots, the New York Jets, and the New York Giants. Like, it's not like he's being difficult. It's not like he's being difficult. Those teams can see what he's doing. You know what I mean? So, we'll see what happens with that. But the other thing is, and let's move on from here, is that now there's a lot of talk about this wind of change and what it would look like. So now, how is it? How do you get these two guys together? That seems to be the question, right? But here's the thing. Even though Marvin Harrison is not going to do testing in the combine, he doesn't have to, right? We already know the product on the field. Caleb Williams, we already know the project on the field, the product on the field, not the project. So that's the thing. So they're not going to neither one of them are participating in the combine, right? So we have no idea what they're going to look at. But one of the things that comes down to this draft is, are players difficult and are they hiding things from people? Um, th- and these are silly, right? Um, he's his Caleb Williams' side crew said he didn't want to play in Chicago, and then he had to walk it back. That's a failure of your team, if you will. A lot of people have a problem with how much money Caleb Williams is already made in college football. That's not that's not a problem. Like there's a lot that's going on in this thing that remember, by the way, we did have Wonderlic tests released last year for people. So here's the thing. I like the fact that these guys are pushing back, saying, you know what, you don't get my information, you want to draft me, you draft me. And in the select few situations, like you guys, you can have access to my medical records. I don't give a shit. Like, go ahead. But the rest of you don't get access to it just because. You know what I mean? So I'm interested. Like this is kind of a fascinating thing. This is a change. This is the players finally taking control of a situation in which he should have been in control of to begin with. And these vultures that are the NFL, or that are these scouting combines, just to kind of take the power and try to pull the power away from them. But let's get on to the scouting combine, because man, oh man, did Dallas Turner show out yesterday or what? Um, look, Dallas Turner had a 4.46, god damn it. I'm sorry, 4.4740. His wingspan was 83 inches, his vertical was 40.5, and his broad jump was 10 foot 7 inches. This guy is out of control. Braden Fisk, by the way, if you remember Braden Fisk, I seem to uh, I seem to be getting a lot of Braden Fisk opportunity in my drafts. When I see him, I feel like I want to take him because like the guy has been just phenomenal. But as a defensive tackle, uh, he had a 9 foot 9 inch broad jump, a 33.5 inch vertical, and a 4.78 40-yard dash. And those were the best in the defensive tackle position. Remember, he comes later in my drafts every single time. So I mean, this guy was just God, woo. Braden Fisk is just a man among boys at this point. Chop Robinson from Penn State. Uh, he wanted he was in the 4.4 second range and 11 feet in the broad. He didn't quite hit that. He ended up with a 34.5 inch vertical and a 10-foot 8 broad jump, and he ran a 4.48 40-yard dash while weighing 254 pounds. You can't argue with Chop Robinson if you want somebody. Byron Murphy, we took him a couple times from Texas. 4.87 40 and a 33.5 inch vertical and 9-foot 3 broad jump at 6 foot 297 pounds. Peyton Wilson did a 4.44 as a linebacker. I'm sorry, 4.43, 9 foot 11 inch broad jump and a 34.5 inch vertical. That's crazy. Trevin Wallace, we took him once. He was a Kentucky linebacker. We didn't need a linebacker, but 4.51 in the 40, 37.5 inch vertical, and a 10-foot 7 broad jump. That's big time stuff. Tavondre Sweat, 5.27 second 40-yard dash at 366 pounds. Are you shitting me? That is wild. That those are gigantic statistics for people to be having out here. So, but basically, what we found out though is that Braden Fisk and Dallas Turner, those are two gets. Those are two real gets that any team would be lucky to have. So anyway, those are the combine stats. Those are and Kareem Slate right here. I think that's why we need the picks. That's to me that's it. Like that's why I would stick with like and look, I know what Boomer Esiason said. He said, "Where's my Geritol? I think son, when guys with the freaking you're taking it to the Caleb or the Williams, and if you don't, then you should just be terminated and fired." Or whatever he says. I assume he's just super, super fucking old at this point. But what he said was, if you don't take a quarterback after two of these, then you should be fired. Well, that's stupid. That's the dumbest hot take. There's nothing hot about Boomer Esiason at this point. Certainly not brain matter. But you know that's his vanity position. That's what he did. So he wants everything to be. But look, the thing is, if you build a good enough team, Tyson Bagent can win you a Super Bowl, right, Jeremy? But you know, the point is, building this team is not done yet, and I really feel like this. I really feel like just give Justin Fields one more run while you're doing it. If he doesn't, if he flames out and everybody loses their job, like I don't want to see that. But you know, I mean, like if you're running it back for the right reasons, then let's do it. If you see something that the donkeys who are like, I'm on Caleb Williams. If you don't, if there's something there that you see that other people don't, let's go. You know, let's make it happen. But let's get some Dallas Turner edge rusher along with along with like for example, for me, this would be really cool. What if you could get Marvin Harrison Jr. and you fixed your problem, so to speak, at wide receiver, and then you could move yourself down and you got Dallas Turner at the number 9 pick? Didn't you just fix two really good positions? And then because you had traded down, you now have like the 34 or the 36 pick with the Commanders or the Patriots, and then you could get one more player. Like, I mean, you're not going to get Austin, you're not going to get Jackson Powers Johnson, but you could get Zach Frazier, the center out of West Virginia, and now, boom, you've really solved the biggest problems that you have, except safety. And Kalen Bullock is going to be in that third round to replace Eddie Jackson. And you don't even have to go into free agency at this point. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like that's what I like. I think that it would be foolish to take the first. I think it would be foolish to take Caleb Williams and give up the potential for draft capital if you could get that draft capital, because Ian Rappaport says that nobody's interested in doing that. So, maybe there's nothing to it. Maybe there's nothing, maybe nothing at all will happen, but I would like to think that that's going on. So now we're going to look at the 2024 draft, and we're going to do my mock simulator. And guys, I cannot tell you, I was so, God damn it. I'm going to show you my draft. Okay. I'm going to show you my draft. I'm going to show, you're going to see it. But Jesus Christ, like it feels just dirty to look at this thing, because I know, like, I feel like, and by the way, I don't feel like I failed in this draft at all, but this draft made me feel like a failure. So here it is. At the number 1 spot, I took Caleb Williams. Now, I didn't make any trades, by the way. I just did a raw draft, and I could have traded the number 9, but if I trade the number 9, I'm missing out on, like, that's stupid. It's so stupid. So the problem with this is, once I took Caleb Williams and I got Malik Neighbors. Now, look, I didn't get I didn't get my guy. I didn't get Marvin Harrison Jr., but I love Malik Neighbors. I love what he brings. So I'm good with this. I'm good with this move. Caleb Williams, Malik Neighbors, but now I'm missing a lot of different players. Where I can't get Dallas Turner, because what I didn't need, I don't feel like I need a quarterback. That's my point to it all. Okay. Don't, that's my point specifically. I don't feel like I need a Caleb Williams. Okay. But I took Caleb Williams. Now I got to take a wide receiver to improve his game at number 9. By the way, Brock Bowers was gone in this draft. As a matter of fact, I have the draft up here and you can see the full results. Caleb Williams, I took first, and Drake May, then Jaden Daniels, Marvin Harrison, Joe Alt. And as we go down here, Dallas Turner was gone. Brock Bowers was gone. Then I got to number 9, and it was either Malik Neighbors or Roma Dunze. And of course, it's going to be Malik Neighbors between the two. But so I took Malik Neighbors, and now I've handled my offense, but now I've got a problem, right? And then I get at number 75, I get Caleb Bullock of safety at USC. So now I've replaced Eddie Jackson, so I'm good there. I've got a quarterback, I've got a wide receiver, I've got a safety, and now I need big bodies, right? So I took Braden Fisk, who just showed out at the defensive tackle. I took Brandon Coleman at 123 at TCU. And the reason I took him is because the closest center, and I know I need a center. I know I need a center. But this is where Lloyd Cushenberry or Connor Williams or Aaron Brewer, this is where somebody who's already out there in free agency has to come through, because at 123, my closest option for a solid center was Bartolini, Tanner Bartolini from Wisconsin. And he was like the 150th level player, you know what I mean? So, and Young Hustle, you keep saying that, but I have no idea. I don't have anybody blocked on Twitter. Are you sure it's at Bleeves Crypto? Because there's Bleeves underscore crypto, and there's a bunch of people who pretend to be me. For those of you that don't know, I have a cryptocurrency channel that I do, and that's where most of my effort is on YouTube. So I don't I don't have um huh. What's your at, by the way? Young Hustle, what's your at on X? What's the at? All right. Let's try that. Uh, by the way, I got a new. I got a new. Um, Here we go. Who is K2? Yeah, you're not blocked. It would tell me if you were blocked. So I'm gonna follow you back. If you sent me a message and I haven't replied or something like that, then it could be that like because I get a lot of messages. So it could be that it's in like a spam folder or something like that for the messages. But I mean, see if you can't see me now. I might. I don't think I went private. And I use one of the premium. I use like the premium account. It's yeah, I don't block anybody. Well, actually, I block people when I hear people say shit like the election was stolen and MAGA and stuff like that. Like that's not really, when they start going crazy and they start lying to people, then I block those because I don't want to hear it. Or when they go on some kind of wild ass liberal rant, just block them and I don't want to listen to it. You know what I mean? Like it's like that wild shit. So but anyway, so we ended up taking Brandon Coleman. So I didn't have an offensive center. And then we finished it off with Tyler Davis, another defensive tackle out of Clemson. And it was just me at this point looking at, I've got 6 picks. I've only got 6 picks in this draft. I want to make them count. Um, so I wanted to take some big bodies at the end of the draft. So I got Braden Fisk, Brandon Coleman, Tyler Davis, but Caleb Williams, Malik. So that's what it looks like. I mean, that's what the draft would look like. Now look over here. If I were to restart this draft, I want to show you what I'm talking about. So if let's just say that I go into this draft now. What I've got is I've got some trade offers, right? And the trade offers I have are New England is offering me the third pick, the 34, and the 68. Minnesota is offering me 11, 42, and 109. Las Vegas is offering me 13, 44, and 77. Washington is offering me 2, 36, 40, and 67, and Washington's first. Like, why wouldn't I accept that? Like, to say that's the haul right there. Like that's the historic haul. Denver is not offering me enough. I wouldn't want to do it in there. But now, so you have to consider at this point, just as an idea here, you would get something along these lines, and it would be like the 3, the 34, and the 68 from New England. That's a good haul. The 11 on Minnesota, I like this, but I don't love this. You know what I mean? 11 and 42, like I really like 3 and 34 and 68 a lot better than 11, 42, and 109. But see, I'm not really improved like that. Like Minnesota, you're fucking out. So now it comes down to New England. Las Vegas has given me 13, 44, and a 77, and a first and a second. Sounds good, but no. So really, it comes down to this. Washington is giving me 2, 36, 40, and 67. New England's giving me 3, 34, and 68. So if I accept, I should accept reasonably. Um, um, yeah, you can counter trade to make it a little bit more. And this one hasn't been updated in about 8 days now, so it might be kind of dead. It might not be keeping up with the varying stuff. It might be waiting for after the scouting combine. So I'm going to give it one more day. But let's just say that we got this. If we just pick this right here, boom, Washington takes Caleb Williams. Now I'm at number 2. If I want, if I want my guy and it's not as long as it's not Caleb Williams, I can get my guy at this point, and now I have a bunch of draft capital. It's going to take me all the way down. So now with this pick, I could still take Drake May. I could still take Jaden Daniels. I could still take whoever I want. Now for me, it's always going to be Marvin Harrison. And now I'm at the number 9 pick, and I'm going to reject that. And now I got Brock Bowers on my radar. So just to now I'm there. And here's the part that matters to me the most. Now I'm into the second round. And here's the question, like what can I get early on in this second round? Because now I have the number 36 and I have the number 40 pick. So what am I gonna what am I gonna go out here and what am I gonna reach for? Well, Zach Frazier. I just got my center that I needed. Um, by the way, when I say that, I mean I think I got a really good center. And then Jacksonville's giving me a 48 and a 96. So let's just trade down a little bit and get that. Now we're going to reject that trade further. and we're going to just sit on the capital that we have at this point. Now, what are the positions of need that I still have? In the positions of need, I don't need a quarterback, or at least I don't think that I need a quarterback. I could pick up a free agent because I have Tyson Bagent at my backup. Tavondre Sweat, which is he was one of the big guys that had a good run. So I got a defensive tackle. Now I've got a number 67 pick here. What am I going to do with that? Bo Braid, or can I get Cedric Van Pran is down there at number 71. Kalen Bullock, boom. I got my safety. Now I've got the number 75 pick. What am I going to do with 75? We're going to take Cooper Beebe for an offensive guard because we're going to need heavy players. We're going to need big guys. So we're going to reject that one again. Now we're still getting Braden Fisk. And now we're still moving. And we want to we're going to take Cade Stover, tight end, because we still need a tight end, even if you know what I mean. We might not. Yeah, you can cry to your mom about this if you want to. Now you've got we need a running back, so Jalen Wright, which is always available. I'm sorry if you call her mommy. I mean, you can cry to your mommy instead. Okay, sorry about that. Now we're in a position here where we're still looking for positions. We've kind of filled up everything. We got Marvin Harrison, we got Brock Bowers, we got Zach Frazier, Tavondre Sweat, Kalen Bullock, Cooper Beebe, Braden Fisk, Cade Stover, Jalen Wright. So we're going to need at least we got 2 tight ends, so we should be pretty good there, right? I think we would. I think it'd be good there. There's no way to get that. Like that's the whole part that let's restart this real quick. Guys, just by the way, we're gonna take that out. In order to get that, we would have to move up a lot in this draft. So let's just say we reject all the offers, right? And we're gonna take Caleb Williams with number 1. Now we got to propose a trade. And we want to trade with let's 1, 2, 3. We want to trade probably at a guess with Arizona. We'll trade our number 9, and then we'll take our first and second for next year for the number 4 and see what they have to say. And they accepted it, so we moved up to 4. So now let's take Caleb Williams and reject, and we got Marvin Harrison. So there you go. Looks like we'd have to make a trade, or at least I'm guessing here, we have to make a trade with. By the way, the rest of the team has to be built through the draft because you don't have very many picks out here. So you know what I mean? Like you only do so much. So Kalen Bullock still comes to us. Kalen Bullock seems like we got him locked in. And then number 111, what can we do with number 111 here at this point? What position do we fill? Tanner Bartolini. I mean, we know he's a good run blocker, by the way. He's just not a good pass blocker. So that is a problem. We got Trevin Wallace, who just showed out at the combine. So why not take a linebacker as a backup? Because now the world is different. Christian Mahogany. So we've got Bo Limmer over here from Arkansas, but he does not rate out very well. Christian Mahogany does, however. So this changes a little bit about this draft. We ended up, I think that was our last pick. Yeah, so we ended up with 6 players. We got Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison Jr. If we could do this, fine. Fine. Tanner Bartolini is not going to be the guy at center. You'd still need to go out and you'd still need to get Lloyd Cushenberry. You still have to get somebody else. But you've got Kalen Bullock. You still need an edge rusher, but you've got some backups in some positions. And by the way, I don't know that I picked the best people for each one of these, but I did kind of go with need, which is why we went with safety and center at first. But I mean, there is that possibility. Now, of course, we just gave up some draft picks for next year, so We no longer have a first and second round draft pick. We have the draft pick that we got from we have our own second round for next year, but we don't have the Carolina second round uh, for next year. So I mean, there's some paths to where you could take Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison, but it's going to be kind of tough. And I mean, it's possible. Obviously, it looks like it's possible from this, but again, like I would feel way better not doing that, not giving up draft picks and storing draft picks to continue building through the draft. Because like the point, I think my point is the larger point that I try to make, or that maybe some people don't like or don't understand, is we're not done building. And of course, I don't think we'll ever be done building, which is why you continue to draft every year. But I don't think we're done building to the point that we've built a team through the draft that's competitive. We've built a team that's on the edge of being competitive, but we now need people that are depth players that are in positions that can continue to do it. And we've got a couple of openings that we need to fill, like the center, like the edge rusher. And we didn't do any of that over here. And you can get them through free agency. I'm not saying that you can't, but that draft capital to me is far more important. And I would rather, by the way, if we ran it back with Justin Fields one last year on a $6 million contract, then 2025 NFL. In 2025, the NFL quarterback free agents: Dak Prescott, Jared Goff, Jordan Love, Trevor Lawrence, Tua Tagovailoa, Justin Fields, of course, and Mac Jones. We're not going with Mac Jones for sure, but I mean, like, look at what's available for that next year. You've got Dak Prescott, unrestricted free agent, Jared Goff, Jordan Love, Trevor Lawrence, and Tua Tagovailoa. And then at running back, you've got Nick Chubb, Aaron Jones, Joe Mixon, James Conner. I mean, you've got some really good, you've got some really good opportunities here if you did this. If you did this, you know what I mean? Like if you stuck with Justin Fields and you decided he didn't work out, then you don't have to go with that club option. But you do have Tua Tagovailoa, Trevor Lawrence, Jordan Love, Jared Goff, and Dak Prescott out here who are willing to play ball, right? I don't know if they're going to re-sign with their team. You know, maybe they do, maybe they don't. Maybe they'll test free agency, maybe they won't. I have no idea. Jordan Love probably re-signs with Green Bay if anything. But you still have some good guys out here who still have a lot of career left. So, you know, you're not pressed like people would pretend. You're not pressed like that. So, um, I don't know. Just the whole point to me, my whole point to all of this is I would hate to waste the rebuild to win in the future to win in the future when I think you could still rebuild and continue to win now. And you're not on the hook with Justin Fields forever. It's the end of his fourth year. You still have him for $6 million. Your quarterback is not expensive. Also, Drew Aller is coming out next year, and you know, if you do a draft like this, you could get another good pick in the draft coming up for the next year if you make a trade that gets you a first round pick for next year from like a Washington or a New England. They're not going to be better. You know what I mean? So what if, and just hear me out, what if it didn't work out and we made the playoffs, but we got a first round exit and everybody was like, Justin Fields is just not going to do it. Like we've seen in a good environment with a strong defense the entire season. You know, if we've seen a lot of this good stuff happen and Justin Fields just not doing it, then, you know, we're in that draft next year. What about Shadur Sanders? What about Dion's kid? You know what I mean? Um, and there's some more quarterbacks coming out. 2025. The 2025 quarterback draft looks like this. 2025. Whoops. Here we go. So we got Shadur Sanders, we got Drew Aller, and we got Connor Weigman. And look, Shadur Sanders grades out almost as well as Caleb Williams. I mean, just not. I'm not saying that he's as good as. I'm not saying that Caleb Williams is. I'm saying that the product on the field so far, these people are saying that, Shadur Sanders is about the same level as Drake May. And Drake May, we're talking about Drake May as perhaps the second best quarterback in the draft for this year. We're talking about Jaden Daniels might be moving up on this. So, like these guys are these guys are potentially available at this point. So, and the other thing is, some of these guys are big. These are big, 6'5", 6'3", 6'2", bigger than Caleb Williams. So, there's a lot of opportunity out here that we're not out of the woods if you run it back with Justin Fields. What you miss out on with this, you miss out on Caleb Williams. Maybe he's good, maybe he's not. My point is, you're not out of a quarterback. You're always going to find a new quarterback. And look, if you're telling me that you can't win with Tua Tagovailoa, or you're telling me that you can't win with a Dak Prescott or something like that, here's the thing. And if you build the team, they will come. If you will, if you have a better team that now protects its quarterback, and just Justin Fields can't do anything. But again, you're still going to get to the playoffs. You will still get to the playoffs. He's still a playoff caliber guy. It's just that what you're doing right now, my opinion, hedge a little bit. Take your trade. Continue to strengthen this team at the top. Continue to get better. And by the way, Jesse Q, we addressed this a little bit before. If you like, Luke Getsy actually called a good first part of the game, right? So why would you get rid of him if you're bringing in Caleb Williams, who's your drop back guy? If that's the case, wouldn't you keep him? Because he was immediately snapped up by the Las Vegas Raiders, because there is something there to Luke Getsy. The problem was he just didn't understand Justin Fields, and he wanted Justin Fields to bend to his type of play and not him bend to Justin Fields type of play. And by the way, that's a coaching thing. That's a coaching thing. If you remember, Jalen Milroe for Alabama sucked at the beginning of this year. He was not very good. Everybody, including Jalen Milroe, will tell you that. And what did Tommy Rees do? Well, Tommy Rees immediately after the first two games stripped the offense completely down and only went with the plays that Jalen Milroe was good at executing. And then he started to build the offense and add new wrinkles and new schemes, but he made the offense very simple so that Jalen Milroe used all of his talents to his best advantage. And guess what? Jalen Milroe was in the running for a Heisman Trophy towards the end of the year because they paid attention to him, because they paid attention to the way that he played. And then you saw it in the way that Alabama started to come out, and you saw him putting up good stats. You saw him starting to develop. He's still not a great quarterback, but the offensive coordinator took his strengths and turned them into the team's strengths. That's the problem, is that Luke Getsy tried to turn Justin Fields' weaknesses into the Chicago Bears' strength, and that's just stupid. That's crazy. You can't do that. Like that's such nonsense. So I just don't think you can. Anyway, so that's it, guys. That's the time for the day. I hope you guys had a good day. And I hope you appreciate the fact that, like, I'm not, the only reason that I'm pro Justin Fields is because I think that gives the team the best option to win and to continue to build. I'm not saying, if you like Justin Fields, I'm Chicago Bears before I'm Justin Fields. I'm Chicago Bears before I'm anybody else. But the important part is we should all be on Team Chicago. We should all bear down, and we should all be looking for the Bear. We just don't agree with what is going to take it to that next level. And I want them to get to that next level, and I don't care if it's with Justin Fields. I just think that Justin Fields represents the best chance for it to go that way. So let me know what you think in the comments down below, and we will talk to you again very, very soon.
I can't wait till Friday. Everybody's getting sideways.